Are we going to just let NextNav run right over our industry? This and a bunch more we're going to break down today. I'm Odess, and this is Secured. All right, first up is news of the week, and there's a lot of it. The theme running through all of this week is simple: conviction. Companies are moving, they're not exploring, they're not piloting, moving. All right, so first up is Dormakaba. They acquired Any2Any, led by CEO and friend Alan Chester. Any2Any built a digital experience platform grounded in the way access actually works in the real world today and tomorrow. This one's personal for me, as I've gotten to know Alan for years in multiple continents and multiple trips, and I really like how he built this. But here's the bigger story of what it means. In the past 14 months, Dormakaba has invested in SafeTrust. They've acquired Tanlock. They invested in RealSense, acquired Avant-Garde Systems, invested in Swift Connect, and now this. This is not a company being cautious. I've talked about this. This is a company with a thesis, and frankly, they're up to executing it. Under Till, and with David Fuller as their Chief Innovation Officer now headquartered here in the US, Dormakaba has moved from wait and see to go. The Any2Any team has been very clear. This stays open, and it's about interoperability, because bigger ecosystems only create value if they stay open. The future of digital access won't be owned, it's going to be orchestrated. All right, let's talk about Verkada, which always gets people going. And let's be honest about something first. There is a lot of noise about this company. Some of it's earned, some of it's manufactured by people who stopped paying attention and just react. So let's set all that aside and look at the signal. Philip, the CEO, he shared real numbers this week for the first time publicly. The one that stood out to me was that their revenue, he said, was up 30% year over year. They also had 31,000 customers globally, over 100 in the Fortune 500, more than 2 million devices online. 78% of their core customers use 2 or more products. 54% use 3 or more. And on an average, customers nearly double their spend in the first 12 months. The thing that's kind of crazy is to think about, this is over only 6 years. This isn't 20. And this is not a company just running on hype. This is a company with retention, expansion, and platform behavior. The noise is old. The data is current. So read the data. And also this week, Assa Abloy, they acquired Sam's Garage Doors, a Western Canadian-based manufacturer and installer of door and gate products with roughly 40 employees and about 17 million Canadian dollars in 2025 sales. It joins the Entrance Systems division under the Industrial Business segment. This is the Assa Abloy playbook running clean. Geography, expansion, complementary product lines, accretive to EPS from day one. The biggest thing here is accretive to EPS from day one. It's not flashy, just disciplined execution at scale. They do this well. They also this week acquired Senko Solutions, a US-based retail security company focused on asset protection in the health and beauty segment. Roughly 40 employees, about 33 million in 2025 sales USD, strong margins, accretive again from day one. This follows their InView acquisition. Assa Abloy is quietly assembling a serious retail security portfolio. Senko lands in their global solutions under the retail unit, so watch for this space. Love the verticalization here. It's meaningful, and it's something that I think we're going to continue to see in retail and other verticals. Still under the Assa Abloy umbrella, but something a little bit different. Here's the one that I think deserves the most attention this week, and it comes from HID. They launched their HID Access Fellowship. Approximately 20 emerging professionals coming to ISC West in 2026 with a clear emphasis on women in security and first-time attendees who haven't had the access or the opportunity to be in that room. I spoke with James Collison about this. He's the guy that sort of kicked the idea off. And it said, it's not symbolic, it's structured. They're going to do event pass, travel support, invitation to HID's customer appreciation event at Tao Beach Club, and a curated agenda. We're personally going to be partnering with them on this to tell each and every fellow's story through West to East podcast, which happens to be the official podcast of ISC West. Applications opened March 1st and they closed March 12th, so you've got about 6 days. They'll send notifications out on the 13th, so quick turnaround. You can apply or nominate somebody who belongs in the room. The industry gets better when more people are in it. All right, to Allegion. Allegion acquired DCI Hollow Metal On Demand, a Los Angeles-based manufacturer of custom quick-ship hollow metal doors and frames. DCI serves hospitals, government buildings, schools, universities, and stadiums. This strengthens Allegion's mechanical portfolio, expanding West Coast presence, and fits neatly alongside Steelcraft, Public, and Krieger. DCI CEO Bob Briggs, he's going to stay on as an advisor. They didn't disclose the terms, but the strategic logic here is straightforward, albeit non-technical. They do this well. They love this business. And it's not tech-related, but it makes sense. And the last one this week, Actuate landed Actuate Secure, a modern VPN connectivity solution built on WireGuard and Tailscale. It connects cameras and video management systems to the Actuate cloud without public internet exposure or legacy VPN complexity. It's a lightweight, encrypted tunnel on premise. No inbound port exposure. As AI video deployments scale across distributed sites, connectivity becomes a real bottleneck. Actuate is removing that by becoming the platform. Smart infrastructure move on their end. I love this video news. I'm excited to see us get more into this. That is the news of the week. 7 stories, 1 thread, conviction, like we said. Companies placing big bets, backing them with capital, and building the infrastructure of what's to come next. All right, let's move into the briefs and what's coming through the security breakdown. 3 things caught my attention this week. One of them's mine. Let's get into it. I wrote this week in the Access Control Executive Brief 135, which was called "We Need to Be More in Rooms, and We Already Deserve to Be." And it's a follow-on to my thoughts last week in a conversation ongoing in the FISEC Collective Slack channel. I was asked to clarify my statement and question around the idea of being in these rooms. Here's what it is, and here's the argument. So take a look at Davos, the Atlantic Council, RSA, Senate Commerce Committee hearings, congressional briefings on critical infrastructure, policy working groups on AI and identity. Physical security is not consistently in those conversations, and it should be. We secure the buildings where those decisions get made. We protect the people having them. We manage the credentials of the staff who support them. We sit at the literal threshold of every critical decision-making environment on the planet, and we're talking to each other. This has to change, not instead of ISC West and SIA and the dealer networks, in addition to them. The policy gets better when we're in the room. The capital follows when we are in the room. The talent pipeline opens when we are in the room. The hard truth in the brief is this: the other people in those rooms lead with frameworks and data and original research. We show up with product specs and a 6-foot table demo. They position themselves as thinkers. We position ourselves as vendors, and that is the gap, and it's closable. This is why, personally, we are doing a C-suite leadership retreat in Washington, D.C., where we're bringing in people from policy and tech. It's why ACS is going to be in Munich in 2027, in February, during the Munich Security Conference. If you want to be in the room, come be in the room. We also heard from the Door Security and Safety Foundation, working with the Door and Hardware Institute, DHI, who we formed a partnership with to bring more engagement around Section 8 and Section 28 and the electronic access control industry. James Gannon, the CEO of DHI, wrote something more operational, but it super matters and super interesting. The Door Security and Safety Foundation, working with DHI, they released this first ever tiered framework for secure openings. 3 levels. Level 1 is latched, lock, and monitor. Level 2 is adds electronic access control. And level 3 is a higher security, bullet-resistant construction, networked access control, active video surveillance at every exterior opening. Before this, no national standard existed, which is kind of crazy. Now there's at least a baseline. The question this framework forces is a good one. Do your door openings match the actual risk profile of the building they're protecting? For most buildings, the honest answer is probably not. This gives integrators and specifiers a language and a structure to have that conversation. We need to use it. And this is why we built this relationship with James and the team over at DHI and all of their members. Section 8 and 28 needs a bigger conversation within the overall physical security industry, and the physical security industry needs to make room to allow it to happen. We then heard from Tony Dong, who always brings it. He wrote a financial piece, but it stayed with me because the implication of physical security is direct. The piece he wrote was called "The Folly of Relying on Book Value for Modern Stock Pickers." The argument is simple. Book value, which is assets minus liabilities, was a useful metric when markets were built on factories and inventory. It does not work when the most reliable assets are software, brand equity, network effects, and customer relationships. Those things don't show up cleanly on a balance sheet. McDonald's has negative book value. The stock has been a strong long-term performer. Kraft Heinz trades below book value and has lost roughly 68% of its value over the same period. Book value told the wrong story in both of these cases. Free cash flow and capital allocation told the right one. Here's why I'm putting this in front of you. Our industry is in the middle of massive valuation conversations. M&A is accelerating, as we just covered. Investors are trying to price software and platform companies that look nothing like the hardware business over the past 30 years. If you're in a board conversation, a deal conversation, or a capital raise, and someone leads with book value as their primary frame, you need to push back. The assets that matter most in the industry right now are not the ones on the balance sheet. They are the integrations, the identity data, the customer relationships, and the platform stickiness, and it needs to be priced accordingly. So that is the briefs and the breakdowns for this week. There's a ton in this week coming through the security breakdown. You should check it out. It's free. It's growing. Frankly, I'm shocked at how fast it is. And remember, for the physical security industry, this is built for you, by you. All the articles are written by industry people. It's some really great stuff, and you should check it out. Sign up online. All right, my thoughts for the week. And this one I need you to actually pay attention to. I mentioned in the opening, are we going to just let NextNav run right over our industry? And here's what I mean. There's a proposal sitting before the US FCC, that is the Federal Communications Commission, right now that it could disable billions of devices in our industry and around it. And we depend on those. That's panic buttons, motion sensors, carbon monoxide detectors, smoke alarms, wireless security cameras, electronic access control systems, all of them that operate in the lower 900 megahertz band, 902 to 928 megahertz. All of those that do are at risk. And here's what's happening. A company called NetNav, they petitioned the FCC to hand it nearly 60% of that band for nationwide 5G positioning network. And in doing so, they removed the existing requirement to avoid causing harmful interference to those devices that's already there. SIA commissioned an independent engineering study from the Paracle Communications Group. The findings, they're not debatable. At close range, the interference probability to narrowband devices, it hits 84%. For wireless cameras, it's 93%. Even at the most favorable distance modeled in the analysis, cameras experience blocking interference more than 60% of the time. One device category would need to generate a signal 741 million times stronger to overcome what NetNav's network would produce. The conclusion from the engineers, coexistence is not possible. Full stop. It won't. We're talking about an estimated 500 million residential security, alarm, and monitoring devices in that band. Roughly 4 devices per U.S. household, installed, operating, protecting people today. And most of our industry has no idea this is happening. And if you want to extrapolate that into commercial. SIA is fighting this. Don Erickson and his team are in the room. They're doing the good work. The industry sent a letter to Congress in October signed by SIA, ESA, ADT, Allegion, Assa, Abloy, HID, Axis, Bosch, Convergent, Johnson Controls, Motorola Solutions, Verkada, and many others. That letter was a strong signal, but NetNav is not showing up with just signals. They're showing up with lobbyists, legal teams, and a campaign to fund, to go win. Their lobbyists alone, they've raised $27 million from Republican allies. SIA needs $250,000 to compete. Think about it. They're bringing $250,000 to a $27 million fight. Last year's early costs hit about $250,000. This year, it's going to be about another $300,000 more. The Access Control Collective, we are at least going to put $10,000 in, and I'm asking 24 more other companies to do the same. There are more than 24 companies in the industry who will seriously be damaged if this goes through, and you know who you are. If you build, sell, install, or monitor devices in the lower 900 megahertz band, this is your fight. It's not SIA's fight. It's yours. The FCC is actively evaluating this position right now. The window is open. If our industry does not show up with resources and a unified voice, the outcome gets decided by people who did. So reach out to Don Erickson at SIA directly. Get organized, write the check. We spent the first part of this episode talking about conviction, companies placing bets and moving with purpose. This is our place to do the same. The spectrum that underlies everything we build does not get protected by watching. And that's my thought for the week. Next up, all right, quick note before I go. Home office all this coming week, which I'm genuinely looking forward to. And we're only weeks away from ISC West. Beyond the breakfast and the activations we have going on the floor, this year we're bringing that West to East podcast studio there. It's at Booth LL, right before you walk into the main hall. We're going to have over 30 conversations with CEOs, product managers, integrators, and organizations shaping the industry and where it's going. We'll be rolling this out over the next 6 months. Come by and watch. You can participate in it, be part of the crowd. We'd love to have you. Then 2 weeks after that, we're going to Birmingham for the security event, and we're bringing XPod to the X Forum, which is the thought leadership area. And we're going to record another 20 to 30 conversations with executives and integrators from across the globe with the UK focus. A lot of content's coming, a lot of good stories to tell. It's a pretty remarkable industry that we're in, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm going to make sure it doesn't go unnoticed. Just like this podcast, response has been great. We're going to continue to do it. I thank you for listening, engaging, and being part of this great community. Should be a great week, and we'll bring it back to you on Slack, LinkedIn, in the briefs, and here. If this episode was useful, please send it to someone on your team. Until then, keep pushing, keep engaging, and I'll see you next week. I'm Odess, and this is Secured.